Now, from the Columbia Basin, your local news source, this is iFIBER 1 News, presented in high definition. The #1 source for real-time local news, local sports headlines, and our very own Weather Center forecast covering the entire Columbia Basin. With your iFIBER 1 News team, reporting news in real time as it's happening. From the iFIBER Communications HD broadcast studio in Ephrata, Washington, this is iFIBER 1 News, and it starts now.
Welcome to iFIBER 1 News Weekend Edition. I'm Cody Johnson reporting news from around the Columbia Basin for Friday, June 21st. Tonight we'll review some of the top stories for the week and a few of your favorites. And we've got the latest weather forecast for the Columbia Basin from the iFIBER 1 Weather Center. One of our top stories this week was about a fire that shut down State Route 17.
State Route 17 between State Route 28 and 282 was stalled this afternoon while crews tried to get a handle on a wildland fire about a mile south of Soap Lake. At about 2 p.m., sheriff's officials advised drivers to avoid the route and detour through Ephrata. Smoke was blanketing the highway and visibility was severely limited in some places. Fire crews with Grant County Fire Districts 7 and 13, along with the Ephrata Fire Department, responded with brush trucks and water tenders as wind pushed the fire through sagebrush and other growth. Preliminary reports did not reveal a possible cause for the fire, which was still spreading as of 3 p.m. We'll have more on this story online as it develops at iFiber1.com, and we'll have a full report tomorrow. For iFIBER 1 News, this is Ryan Lancaster reporting.
The highway was reopened after a few hours. Moses Lake was the site of some competitive racing for a fundraiser. Reporter Cameron Probert was there to keep track of all the rubber duck action.
4, 3, 2, 1.
And with that sound, the second rubber duck regatta started at the Moses Lake Surf and Slide Water Park Friday night. The regatta raised funds for the Boys and Girls Club of the Columbia Basin. Executive Director Brian Mayo hoped to raise about $10,000 to $15,000 from the event.
Well, the Boys and Girls Club are very proud of the fact that it's $20 per year for a membership for our kids. And the reality is it costs about $2,000 per year to provide services and staffing, supplies, materials for those kids. So events like this and a couple of other special events closes that gap for it.
4,000 plastic ducks were adopted before the race began. Mayo explained the ducks circled the lazy river twice before being funneled into a chute and the winner selected. The club gave away about 50 prizes, including a stay at the Coeur d'Alene Resort and $2,500 in cash.
We need more ducks next year. We'll buy a few more and go to 5,000 or 6,000. So yeah, it's exciting. It's a good event too because we think it can grow and become a big event in the community.
The event grew from last year. Mayo said the club sold about 3,000 tickets last year. The money from the event goes to fund the operating costs of the 2 Moses Lake clubhouses, which serve about 220 children a day.
We just thought this was a little bit of a different, creative way to try to raise some money instead of just an auction or a raffle. Just and maybe renting the facility out. We're inviting the kids and families down here so they can. Some of the kids that don't get down here very often have a couple hours down here free. And then they can watch the ducks go around the lazy river. So it should be a good time.
For iFIBER 1 News, this is Cameron Probert reporting.
Thanks, Cameron. We certainly appreciate our veterans here in the Columbia Basin and always do what we can to pay our respects. Ryan Lancaster reports on a man who can help facilitate Grant County veterans' needs and help them find a resting place.
The newly minted director of the Eastern Washington State Veterans Cemetery was recently in Moses Lake, speaking to a luncheon meeting of the Columbia Basin Job Corps Community Relations Council. Rudy Lopez is a 30-year veteran of the United States Air Force, holding various positions in the medical field. Most recently, he served as the 92nd Air Refueling Wing Command Chief Master Sergeant.
To the students, hopefully we've got some prospective veterans in that group. I can tell you this military service will give you so many opportunities, and the sky is the limit.
He shared how the State Department of Veterans Affairs is working to improve benefits access for vets living throughout the state. Washington ranks 12th among states for the number of veterans served.
From this immediate area, Grant County's got just under 7,000 veterans. The neighboring counties have about 1,000 per county.
Since March, Lopez has been responsible for planning, coordinating, and directing the operation of the State Veterans Cemetery in Medical Lake. The cemetery celebrated its 3rd anniversary in May. The 120-acre cemetery was built in 2010 through an $8 million federal grant and serves as a final resting place for veterans, their spouses, and qualified children throughout the region. Lopez said the application process is kept as simple as possible.
Veterans actually can, if they have to or need to use our services out at the cemetery, funeral home directors can connect them directly with us, and we make the process, the application process, as streamlined and easy as possible, because as you can imagine, a family dealing with a death is already dealing with a very, very emotional and stressful part of their life.
For more information on the Veterans Cemetery or other Department of Veterans Affairs programs, visit www.dva.wa.gov. For iFIBER 1 News, this is Ryan Lancaster reporting.
Thanks, Ryan. Each of the people you see here have warrants for their arrest and are wanted by various law enforcement agencies. If you see any of these people, the DOC asks that you not attempt to detain or apprehend them, but to call police. You can also contact the Department of Corrections at 509-764-6180 during the day, or 509-762-1160 after 5 p.m. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after these messages with the latest from the iFIBER 1 Weather Center, and we've got more news on the way.